How y'all doing? I'm Alpha Master Pimp, Sir Easy. Amp, they call me. Active, dominant, uh, in a poly relationship and some more adult metaphysical BDSM kind of shit. Basically speaking, that's an actual excuse. Um, I'm in a relationship. I'm in relationship-based dynamic that actually is more vast or more complicated. That's it. That's that word, complicated. Kind of like, hey, so what's your clearance or your classification or something as a, on this site? Well, it's complicated. Well, I'm complicated. Anywho, uh, what I want to talk about here is that complicated. How do a lot of us that are single, or how do a lot of you who are single and without anyone else actually do what a lot of other people are trying to do by way of doing it with themselves and even in some cases more people than just themselves? Well, complicated. It's complicated. That means that uh, I spoke just a moment ago about commitment and how a lot of women and everybody else, all have this issue about the big C. C is for commitment. And most people aren't, it's not good enough. And I was also talking about the ratio between women and men. Right now, there's like in the black community, there's like it's 1.8 million women more than men. And then of course, that gets kind of funny with the amount of men in jail, and they don't want to talk about the amount of women in jail too. So it really doesn't equal out, but it's a lot. And then there's us, all the people out here living in this free little world. Well, and how we're really having these issues with being able to relate to each other, man to woman now. I mean, because in most cases, most women want a man, and most men want a woman. Now, I mean, you can take that dynamic anywhere you want, especially sexually. You don't need to have to be outside of that compound to not be able to get that. You just need consent to be complicated. Now, strangely enough here, the hardest part to the word commitment, or to be told the word commitment, is answering it. So now I found that the sheer telltale sign for someone to actually counter them actually asking you for a commitment is, okay, I'll give you an answer in 2 years. And stick to a 2-year plan. And somewhere between, and you have to go for at least a year and a half before you can decide if you want to go another 2 years or not. And then surprise them and go, I'll tell you what, I give you 20 years. I'm more sure that if I could actually convince you that I'm sure right now we could make it 20 years, the more I can make you sure that in 20 years' time, we'll still be together. That's commitment. There's nothing about commitment that allows you to be able to judge if you're going to make it any day that you're still together, questioning if you're not going to be together the next day. That's that complicated, because while everybody else wants to say that, everybody else wants to say life is too short. Do you know that there are some people 60, 70 years old right now being divorced for the first time in their life? Trying to come up with that excuse too. Life is too short. Yes, you live longer than short. So what are the chances that your youngness will have the same odds? Oh man, the world's going to come to the end in 2 years, so I'm not going to commit to nothing. Anywho, being in relationships of any sort. Now you've got people that they call the new people serial monogamous. They're happy to be single. They want what they want, and they would be willing to jump at it at any given time that bing in their head, they could see that bing in that person's head, that we're going to actually do it. And look, the light bulb says 20 years. Well, 20 years is not long enough. I want for a lifetime. You're going, yeah, but you can't make it out of the weekend. Now, some of that might consist of, well, I want you here every day. What happens if all of a sudden you find that you have to take 3 month or 3 year tours out and still be connected? Commitment. A lot of times people want things because they want them as often as possible through their manicness. Manic people cannot commit until they handle their manicness. Insecure people cannot commit, cannot be offered a commit, because that person then has to commit himself to being able to convince that manic person at every time that person has a manic moment. Do you know how much time that's into that? Do you know that there's not enough men out here that can honestly be convinced enough to stick through a whole lot, be a glutton for punishment for 20 years? And yet and still there's a lot of people who say they want that. And there's more men that probably really do want that too. If they could have everything else too. And you could too. Commitment. I came in this place with you, woman, and no matter what we do, well, we leaving together. That's commitment. Everything else in between the coming in and going out could be complicated. The problem here is that we as adults really don't know how to make sense right now, because all the people who came before us that taught us our morals and our standards didn't know what the hell they were doing and had no clue that we would have this much freedom today. A lot of things that we call racism basically is just basic courtesy, protocol for a time when people didn't drive up and down your street that didn't know who you were. That's where we're at in this world. This whole new world order thing that people are going crazy over is just us being in this new world trying to find some order to our lives. It's really that simple. There's no big controversy about this. There is nobody stopping you from getting anything you want but you and whoever else is in your head that you need to put to bed. How do you do that? Can't do it by yourself. Then maybe you could. But where's the fun in that? Well, you want a mate, and you can have one. But where's the fun in it just being you two stuck? See, the thing here is communal living. It's more important for you to be able to live with someone communally than it is for you to actually think that you need to be in love with each other every day. Just be committed to be communal. So maybe being able to commune with each other, being able to be friends, or being able to tolerate, being able to be stuck with, sometimes fuck with. You really honestly want to be with more than yourself, but you can't, because you don't know how deep anyone else is into this. And that's fair. But you have to be more fair in understanding that each one of you are going to be scared every second of the day for 20 years. Do the math. Half of the problem we have right now is that everybody else wants to think that this whole world lives and breathes on monogamy. That's totally out. It's not monogamy. It's being monogamous with your first person and whomever else in your dynamic, and being open with them all, and being open and truthful to that, to whatever your spiritual base is. That's not impossible to have. Everyone has it, but everyone is paranoid. It's complicated, isn't it? But it's not difficult. Sometimes the hardest thing is realizing that if a woman wants a man and a man wants a woman, the hardest thing to actually get is that respect for each dynamic. That man doesn't have to be the dominant, and that woman doesn't have to be the submissive, but that man has to be the man, and that woman has to be that woman. Now, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but don't you deserve it?